Hello and welcome to another Race of Champions episode. This is sort of part 2. Last time out we had a race at Brno, and Joel organised another Race of Champions, which is here at Motegi. This was the week after Brno, but I'm just really slow at uploading things. But this one had a slightly different taste to it, as you will find out. We're just jumping over to qualifying here. This is my best lap. I think originally we had a 10-minute qualifying session, but then lots of riders had issues and got disconnected, so we just did a quick restart and only had a 5 minutes quali session, so I only managed to get one lap in, which is this lap. Quite tricky, especially corners like this that we're coming up to now. For some reason the rear end doesn't really like to get on with me through a lot of these corners. It's really easy to wheelie out of there as well, so I wasn't feeling entirely comfortable. I needed to have done a bit more work with the setup to have a more stable bike in the braking zones, but it was okay. It just had to be a bit careful on the rear end. Coming around here, just clipped the inside curb there, pushed me a bit wide, not ideal, but we're still on a half decent lap as Alvaro puts in a 1 minute 42.7. That's a great time from him. Lots of fast guys in here as always. Probably the big change would have been, instead of Ellie Ghost, as an Aprilia just spawns in there. That was a bit off-putting going into this tricky braking zone. Really struggle into this corner. Yeah, no Ellie Ghost this time, but instead, as you've seen, we've got Fenny, really fast Italian. He's just put in a 42.0, a brilliant time. And as I come around the final little chicane up towards the line, what am I going to do? And across the line with a 42.3, which was decent. I was happy with that. Really close for all the field. It was just Fenny who had that bit of a margin there. Albertini, Carlos, Alvaro, Fox, Isco, everyone really close. So it could be anybody in here really could win this race, and that's what makes it so enjoyable and so exciting. But Fenny just seemed to have a bit of an edge, and as we move over to the race highlights, I knew, as I always say, you've got to lead the race. Leading is so powerful in this game, so I just wanted to make sure I was leading the race. And as the lights go out, we set off. I get a decent launch, and then I don't get any wheelie at all and fly into the lead, and then Fenny fights his way back, and I straight away wanted to get that position back, and the rear end just goes. Oh, it was so frustrating. I don't know how other people don't have this issue, but I wasn't too aggressive, but the rear was just gone immediately, and it was almost as though lifting off the throttle to sort of stop the rear end coming round was my downfall. Maybe I should have been on the throttle a bit more, but as we're side by side here, Jorge Sprinter was involved in another collision, and he's at the back with me, and he goes past, and I wanted to get through the field, but I knew at this point that it was unlikely that I was going to win, so I just wanted to have fun and see what I could do, have an enjoyable race with some nice clean overtaking, and see what happened at the end, because there's no point in doing anything silly at this point, because, as I say, Fenny and all the other guys who avoided collisions at the start of the race, they're gone by now, so the win is not going to be possible. So you might as well just try and have an enjoyable race, and that's what I was trying to do. Following Jorge, he seemed to be closing up to the group ahead as I completely mess up that horrible turn. Really wasn't getting on with that 90-degree corner. There's somebody going really wide there, and as we come into this final chicane, I get a slightly better exit. I think it's Karterg, and I move up a position there. That's handy. Just picking off places, and there's quite a big group ahead, so as long as You know, nothing goes terribly wrong. I should be able to get a bit closer as we come down into, and every corner here is tricky. All these braking zones, the rear end just says no. And coming out of this corner, I like to short shift up to third, but I think I had my third gear just a tad long. Everybody seemed to pull away a bit from me. It wasn't ideal, so I wish I had that a bit shorter, but not much we can do as we go through 130R on the second lap, closing in a bit. Someone goes wide ahead. That's looking good for us as Mr. Sprinter looks for a way past. No room there. Coming into a final sector, he's looking for another gap, but there isn't one to be had. We're just waiting for something to happen, ready to pounce. There's a bit of a gap here. No, we don't go for anything. It's could go up the inside there and force him wide, but there's no need to do anything silly, no need to push anybody off the track. We're just having fun trying to make it clean, and that's the important thing that you need to remember during this race. All these times where I could have been dirtier than I was, you have to remember that I wasn't. And as we go into this final chicane, Mr. Sprinter barges his way through on CRJ. He's trying to control his wheelie on the way out and turns into me, and our paths collide. And I don't know what it looked like on his screen, but I hope he realised as we go up the inside here that it was just our lines colliding. I wasn't trying to hit into him. It was the fact that on this game you have to wiggle around to prevent the wheelie, and he was just happening to turn into me as I was turning into him. As he looks up the inside, bit of contact but not too bad, but I get a slightly better exit around the outside down into the tricky braking zone. Side by side I just edge him out and gain another position as we go onto the tunnel. Hopefully don't get a wheelie, and at this point it's all going well. It looks like we're just following Mr. Sprinter through the field as Sweetho has another crash. It's not looking good for him. He appears to be having an even worse time than me with my crash at the start, but Jorge makes a mistake there all over the curb, and that's sending me signals. I can see a gap. I'm nearly side by side with him into this braking zone, go up the inside totally clean, and he just powers back underneath. And it doesn't look that bad, but he was nowhere near undercutting me. He just powered back, nowhere near hitting the apex. I mean, he just wanted to force me wide to get the position back, and I thought that was slightly odd, but I won't take too much from it. I mean, if we were fighting for the lead, as we come side by side again into the final chicane, but there's nothing that can be done there. If we're fighting for the lead, I could understand that kind of aggression, but it seemed like a slightly strange thing to do, because we're not fighting for the lead. And as I say, if you're going to cut back, it's always useful to hit the apex, but he was just forcing me wide so he could get his bike straight ahead of me again, which is weird. Again here, I could go up the inside, but no, I want to keep it clean. Here I could force him wide right now and push him off the track, but no, I want to keep everything as it should be, despite what the slightly strange move he had earlier on. As we come out of turn 5, I get a much better exit onto the tunnel and get a really nice move into 130R, and that is job done. As long as I keep it nice and tight through these little chicanes, there should be no way through, which there isn't. You can see he's having a little bit of a sniff, but there isn't anywhere for him to make it past, and we can go off and pursue the next guy. There's a bit of a gap, but I'm sure we can do something. And I was closing in, as you can see, and on this corner you can go on the curb on exit and get a boost, and I was just too greedy, and the curb says no. Oh, and I couldn't believe it. I lost all that time, and here comes my best friend Mr. Sprinter, and I overtake him again into the braking zone. He just pushes me wide on the exit, shoves me onto the curb, and of course that kills me. And at that point it was war. I knew that for some reason he wanted to be a bit dirtier than what I thought was acceptable. So I was so annoyed at this point. I mean, the first incident wasn't awful by itself, but it was still a bit strange. But then to force me wide again unnecessarily, which resulted in my death. Oh jeez, I was so annoyed at this point. I'm miles away, but I didn't care what was going to happen. I was going to do everything to make sure that I caught up to this guy and got my revenge, because that it's just uncalled for. As Fox has a crash, I think at this point Mr. Sprinter is just barging everyone out of the way. Riders are pinging left, right and centre off his fairings, flying into the gravel. He's having a little moment with somebody else ahead. It's not going to end well for them, because he's a battering ram at the moment. It's not safe. Somebody, oh, and there Alvaro goes, another victim falls in the wake of Mr. Sprinter, and I could smell some blood as we skip forward here. I've closed in some more. Makes a slight mistake going round there and into this left-hander, just closing in bit by bit as we go through the tight chicane into this left. I quite like this left-hander, but he doesn't seem to be getting along with it. As you see there, just wasn't working out for him. And I get a better exit. Is there a move into this corner? I could shove it in the inside, and yes I do, because at this point I don't care, because if he's gonna play dirty, then I can play dirty too. So I shove it up the inside, take a defensive line into this tricky corner, but he has none of it. He wants revenge on the, I don't even know what I've done wrong, to be honest, but he's not giving up at all. I was fuming with this guy. I didn't care about anything else on the track. I didn't care what was going on. I didn't care if we were last. I just wanted to have a war with this guy. As we come down into here, I was thinking, well, if you can do dive bombs, so can I. Pile it up on the inside from miles back. And this is the thing with this game. If you want to play the pushing people out of the way game, everyone can do it, and it's just not fun, and it seems pointless. And like there, he's lost out because I pushed him wide, and yeah, it doesn't look awful in the same way that his overtakes don't look awful, but it's not how you should be playing the game, really. Yeah, I thought it was a bit unnecessary just for a race for fun. But we've caught up with some clean air to the guys in front. I think this is Joanne in front of me, and this really tricky corner down here, I think it was a combination of me braking a bit too late and Joanne braking early, and I genuinely didn't want to dive bomb him like that, so I apologise, but I think my karma came here as he appeared at the bottom of my screen. I was a bit put off, and boom, the curb kills me, and here comes my best friend to push me off the track once again. Oh my god, of course I spawn in next to Mr. Sprinter. And I was so annoyed before, but at this point, well, I'm surprised the controller didn't go through the television. I know that other people have rage quit in some of these races, but I'd like to compare their experiences to the one that I'm having right now, because it was something else, and with only a couple of laps to go, I wasn't going to be defeated by this maniac. It's typical that he's riding an Aprilia as well, just like the maniac himself. But I just wanted to get my revenge. He's just making mistakes all over the place. It's just silly. I felt I had so much more pace but he just, for some reason, I don't know, didn't like my face, didn't like my helmet. Who knows? It's a mystery. Excuse me. But we close up on him again, and I'm just rubbing my hands together thinking, what can I do? How can I make this guy's day even worse? And I'd come down here. I tried to bait him on the brakes, but it wasn't happening. I thought, I'm just going to stay away from you, because if I'm on the outside, it's not going to end well. But then I'm running out of opportunities, because we come on to the start-finish for the penultimate time, going on to the final lap. I'm going to have to make a move somewhere, but where's it going to be? Because I know that he's just going to throw the bike all over the place to make sure that I don't get past, and the tyres are gone at this point, so that's not helping the situation. And as we come down into this corner, Johan has a crash, unfortunately, because he was in a good position. We were near him earlier, and Mr. Sprinter takes the car park route, which just adds to his long list of misdemeanors in this race. And as we break into here, Alvaro crashes ahead. I'm closing in on Mr. Sprinter, and then another Aprilia ends my day. Everything was going wrong. And then we come into here, Mr. Sprinter crashes. I've seen that. I've seen him spawn in. I want some revenge. And the plan, as I smash into the back of him, the plan was to overtake him so closely and just rub fairings with him just to prove a point. But as you can see, I slightly misjudged it and ploughed into the back of him, and sadly he stayed on the bike. I know, I bet you're just as disappointed as I am, but yeah, that's this race in a nutshell. I mean, as Penny takes the win. I couldn't believe what was going on. This has got to be one of the worst, if not the worst race I've ever taken part in, all thanks to one man and his Aprilia. So I know that he makes YouTube videos himself. I don't know whether he's going to watch this or any of his fans are going to watch this. So maybe he doesn't always ride like this, but certainly if that's the way he likes to ride, I don't want to have any more races with him in the future. But a brilliant win for Fenny. I mean, he was untouchable. It would have been nice to see what I could have done against him, but these things happen. But can't take anything away from Fenny. A bit of a longer one today. I'm sorry if you're bored. I tried to keep it closer to 10 minutes, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed that entertainment, because I didn't when it happened. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.